Now, here's the next topic. Multi-channel marketing. Your client is spending money on Facebook. You're managing Facebook ads. You're managing Google ads. You're managing chatbots. You're managing iTunes. You're managing Amazon. You're managing display. You're managing remarketing campaigns on Criteo or Perfect Audience or AdRoll. You're managing LinkedIn ads, Twitter ads, right? So how do you charge? Do you charge a base fee and a separate bracketed system or a separate percentage for every different channel? Or do you lump them together in one total marketing spend? So a couple points on this. I've done all of these and I have clients active now that I do both for, but total spend is my preferred method, even if it results in a lower short-term management fee. Because remember, this idea of structuring of that first slide where I talked about you want to have a long-term relationship outlook. So yeah, you'll probably be able to maximize your revenue from clients by charging line items. And I mean, I guess in most cases that would be the case because you could charge a separate base fee and it'll always come out to more if you're charging separately, but clients don't like it. 9 times out of 10, I'm happy to sacrifice my management fees a little bit if it means making the billing process more out of sight, out of mind. And I'm a big proponent of putting the billing as far in the background as possible as you could possibly put it. You don't want to have to think about it. You certainly don't want your client thinking about what they're paying you. Okay, so that's the first thing. The second thing is that let's say you're doing Google ads, Facebook ads, LinkedIn, remarketing. Like that's a very common group of channels. So it's easier to move money between channels. So let's say you tell your client, well, like, listen, the remarketing campaigns are doing really well. Let's increase spend there a little bit and we could pull budget back from these Google ads shopping campaigns, which aren't performing as well. And if you have a separate system of billing for every single one of these channels, then it's like, okay, well, do we decrease our bracket here? Is the billing going to change the percentage over here? Are we charging you more for this line item at the end of the month? And that takes more time. It takes more work on your part. And it's just more thought going into billing. You might have, Facebook ads being charged at a smaller percentage of spend than Google ads. And if you suggest to your client that we should take some money from Facebook and put it in Google, your motives might be totally sound and it might be a very statistically based and good suggestion, but your client might suspect that maybe you're looking to put more budget into the platform where you're making a higher percentage on the spend from. And you don't ever want your client suspecting you of ulterior motives. Putting that all together makes a lot more sense. It's also a lot less pressure on the client. So like the client's not dealing with a larger proposal, a more complex billing structure. Again, it helps build trust and increases retention. And I've seen this over time because I've sent over 500 proposals, which is pretty crazy. And I haven't won all of them, but I have sent over 500 proposals. Won well over half of them, probably 75, 80% of them, because once we get to the point where we're sending a proposal, the client wants to work with us. So I would, it's probably around 80%. But I've seen these types of things, including around 2 years ago, we started really just focusing on grouping all the spend together into one total spend, and it helps build trust. It does increase retention. The only time where I would charge by line item is that if you're really dedicating more resources, because that's really the question. Well, like, okay, well, if I need to dedicate more resources to these additional channels, and that's going to cost me money, it's going to cost you money if you're hiring contractors or it's just your time. So if you're really dedicating more resources than the increase in spend fees cover, then you can definitely charge per platform. And then you would just walk that through with your client. You could tell your client, we typically charge one combined, we charge this percentage or this bonus or this bracket system on just one total combined spend. But in this case, you're asking us for, 4 sets of LinkedIn creative every month. And that actually is going to take an additional time where we need to charge you separately for that. And clients are receptive to that as long as you explain it and explain why you're departing from your typical structure. Whatever you could do to minimize the friction is always going to work out in your favor in the long run. So basic rule, multi-channel. If your clients are advertising on multiple services, in most cases, my recommendation is just to look at it as one total spend. And like when business is going well, your client's going to be increasing spend. That's another thing that people don't often realize is that business owners, when business is going well, they're not looking to cut money from anything. It's like an attitude thing. They're looking for more areas to spend money on. So if your Google Ads campaigns are doing really well, and that's contributing to the business overall doing well, your client's going to want to push money into all advertising channels. And they're going to say like, where else could we spend? And you're going to be able to use that trajectory to your advantage because you're going to increase total spend, even if it's split up between multiple channels, and you're going to ultimately earn more money. When business is doing poorly, if you're concerned that, if Amazon PPC is doing really well, then they're going to cut budget from Google, like that's not usually happening. Like if things are overall going well for a business owner, even if all your channels are performing poorly, if they just happen to be doing incredibly well organically, I've had this situation before with clients. Like we've had really tough months where like the numbers were down, but the client overall had a good month from outside factors. And he just like, let's push money, right? So that's just like, it just becomes the attitude of a business owner, usually, that when things are going well, we're not looking to cut, we're looking to push more money into our marketing. When things are going poorly, it's like, the clients just wants to cut from everywhere, even the things that are working. So understanding that most clients have that attitude about business, you should feel much more confident going into a relationship where you're combining the spend completely into one total spend.